Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a quick look here at Bitcoin. Again, sorry for the lack of content over the weekend. I was able to make a few shorts, whatever, kind of give you a heads up on where we're at with the market. But we were in San Diego enjoying time with our son, his first time going to the beach. So it was a lot of fun. Anyways, what we're going to look at here is the back-end liquidation data. Obviously start with that. Quickly to preface too, congrats to our community members for some nice profits here. Solana short 31%, AVAX short 25%, shorted on Thursday and then Saturday as well. So basically just, we ended up working out, but it wasn't without, any potential issues there. I mean, look at this here. There was like tremendous amount of buying and selling activity going on, specific unusual activity alerts that kept flowing through yesterday. So we saw this weird jagged like up and down price action yesterday. I wouldn't say it's weird. It's pretty much par for the course. It's standard manipulation where they wipe out the shorts, wipe out the longs, then they do what the heck they want with it, right? So at this point though, after having done that, they did what they wanted and went all the way down to about 102K. So 102,000 is that local support potential bottom. I don't think that we're done going down personally, but once more, it all depends on volume. We're going to pay attention to volume, kind of see where we're at. But if we look at here, we got a little bit of left, 107 to 108K. There's that little bit of area of liquidation left here. But from a macro perspective, we have just as much below at 100,000 than we do at about 108K. So we're still kind of in the middle-ish of that range. So not really too telling, doesn't really tell us what direction we're going to go. What does help us understand a lot more is liquidation delta. It's mostly shifted neutrally. In other words, when we have this break even, it really kind of just tells us there's indecision at this level. So we either go up or down, big surprise, but it's probably going to be a significant move. In other words, when you have that compression and the price stays too tight for too long, it's more likely to move fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if we either run back up to 108K just to fake out these late shorts over the weekend or from last night. Or we just run down to 100,000 as it's supposed to, and we get that out of the way before we take our next leg up. It's not a guarantee, of course, none of it really is, but if we look at open interest, we can see there's a lot more open interest above the price than below, basically implying that there's a lot of longs at 105K that are kind of stuck in their underwater positions. So what I would recommend is if you were taking a long position, take profit target in that 105K range makes a lot of sense. Okay, the main reason why is because there's going to be some exit liquidity there. The odds of the price going past that level is fairly low. Once more, open interest is not a definitive understanding of where things are at, but it tells us a lot about where people are hedged the most, and more locally, we see the most amount of positions opened over the weekend at 105K, which is essentially above the price, therefore reinforcing resistance. Okay, so it's just kind of some stuff to be aware of. Daily time frame, let's quickly note here. We're in an ascending channel. These are bullish type of trends, by the way, where the price action will inevitably break to the upside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a continuation upwards or a run to the upward direction there of maybe retesting our all-time high of roughly 109, 110,000. But once more, at this point, it's still very early to tell. We have some liquidation left above the price, and we have some left below the price. So the key takeaway here is that liquidation below is a little heavier than the liquidation above. But once more, at this point, when we're smack dab in the middle, that really doesn't matter too much. Jumping out to the weekly here, just to clarify, we did have our previous weekly high closure that we've never closed above 104.5, and we closed at 106.5 over the weekend. So that's positive. That does show us that we may have a shift in momentum occurring when we break through our previous high, right? But once more, breaking above a high doesn't necessarily mean too much if we can't hold that level. So we really need to close basically at 104.5 this week or higher in order to show that we have the strength to be able to maintain this range. Okay, so once more, that kind of boils down to volume. So it's a simple way to understand it. But MACD's converging still in the daily weekly time frame. Nothing is super bearish here at all. I mean, we're above our moving average. Money flow next could be a bit higher, but it's still pretty good. So weekly time frame, it has and will remained positive, right? There's nothing there kind of telling us we're going to drop hard or potentially pull back super fast. I'm still leaning more towards 97K being the local bottom if we were to see that. So it'd be nice if we did, but once more, there's no guarantees of that. Daily time frame, just to quickly note here, we are starting to see a divergence, like basically a double dip there where the price tries to converge and gets rejected. I don't read into that too much, but it does imply that unless we continue to see significant amount of volume, we're probably going to start or continue to pull back. Now, do I think it's going to be a monumental pullback for Bitcoin? Probably not, but I do think altcoins will probably get hit big old reset button once more, just based on the simple fact there's still tons of profit on altcoins, and that Bitcoin dominance is going up, just kind of showing us that alts are receiving a lot of selling pressure. Just to quickly note too, if you see Bitcoin dominance still on its way up here, and generally speaking, when Bitcoin dominance goes up and the price of Bitcoin goes up, alts typically go down, which is basically what we're seeing right now. Okay, so it's just that manipulation 101 essentially is the best way to describe it, but it's just very standard, normal behavior here. 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin. If we look here, we can recognize that we're trying to break bullish, but we're still like maintaining right there at 50 in the RSI, both above and below. Generally construed as positive because we're maintaining above it, but I don't really love when the price action gets that close to that. In other words, I generally don't try to trade under these conditions. That's just me personally. When we look at the MACD, we're trying to converge, but haven't fully yet. There's just a big old mixed bag of garbage here. Now, this is a simple way to understand it. That's why market makers really love doing this manipulative trading, because it really just confuses the hell out of most everybody. So nobody knows what to do. Okay, we're going up. No, we're not. Just kidding. Oh, wait, we're going up again. No, we're not. We've got this heart monitor going on right now. It's pretty stupid in a lot of ways. I was just rolling my eyes as I was driving home watching the charts yesterday. So either way, standard stuff. That's how it goes. I do recommend kind of waiting to see what happens here today. I think a closure in the 105K range or higher would probably imply further upside, at least on the short term. But if we fail to close above 105K, this local resistance range, back before things were kind of jacked over the weekend with low volume, I think that we're more likely to go down. So my thoughts here is that 105,400, this area of open interest, is going to work as a resistance, and that's a good consideration for either a short or take profit target for a long. Those are just my thoughts, though. What are yours? Why don't you comment below? Let me know. Hope to hear from you soon. Quickly to note here, so I should have opened with this, is a phenomenal offer here from Bitunix this month. Be sure to check it out between now and June 18th. There's a significant amount of options available. For anyone who has used my link to register, you're qualified for this automatically. If you want to use it moving forward, do so now. I highly recommend checking them out. They're an awesome exchange, no KYC or VPN required. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. That will be linked in the description below, and I hope you have a good one. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.